What up,
everybody.
y'all? My name's Jamar.
And I'm Brianna.
And welcome to the Safe Word Podcast, episode 8. Ocho.
8.
Yes. We have a jam-packed episode for you guys today, so we're really just going to jump right into it. The safe word of the day for all of my All That fans is Jupiter. Jupiter. If you don't understand that reference, honestly, we can't be friends. Anyway, so we're going to jump into the first question, if you would, my love.
Is that from All That?
It is from All That. You still stuck on that?
I thought it was Keenan and Kat or whatever. Yeah, Keenan.
No, it's from All That. Allow me to refresh your mind.
Time's up. The correct answer was Jupiter.
See, I told you it was All That. You ready to move on?
Okay.
Anyway, so let's start with question number 1.
Question 1 is, why do we look down on Americanized children of immigrants? It's a long question. But...
It's a long question, and I feel like we need to give a little bit of pretext, because when we say look down on Americanized children of immigrants, that was honestly just so we could fit it on the screen, but let's go into a little detail. You know, those who are raised by immigrants, children of immigrants, and they don't necessarily know a lot of their culture, maybe not know the language, things like that. So why do we look down on them? Do you want to answer first?
No, I asked the question.
Okay. Well, shoot, that's a loaded question for me. I'll tell you what. There are a lot of situations where, you know, me being Haitian American, a lot of us will judge or look down on other Haitian American children that don't know how to speak Creole, or that don't know Haitian history, or that don't like our music, compa and zouk, or that really just, you know, don't know anything about the culture. They don't know how to pronounce certain things properly, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a wall of disconnect there. And I think that the reason why a lot of these children of immigrants don't really have that connection with their parent country is because the parents, they didn't want their child to be at a disadvantage when it came to growing up in the States. You know, I know a lot of children of immigrants that they don't have that education of their parent company because of that same reason. For example, me, I taught myself how to speak Creole pretty much. And those of you who hear me speak Creole, you'll be like, yeah, it shows. But I taught myself how to speak Creole because my mom and my dad, when I was growing up, they wanted me to speak French. So my mom used to always tell me, you know, before you learn Creole anywhere, I'm going to teach you how to speak French. But she never actually ended up teaching me how to speak French, maybe a couple of words here and there. I actually had to end up taking classes in high school to speak French. But I ended up learning how to speak Creole myself when I was around 10 years old, because what I would do is I would just imitate what they would say. I would imitate the language that was spoken at home, and I learned through correction. So when I said something wrong, my mom and my dad or my grandma would correct me, and that's how I learned how to speak Creole. And then when I got to college, through Comic Creole at FAU, that's when I really learned a lot more about my culture, about, you know, the history of the country, the pride that we have in being Haitian American descendants and whatnot, or Haitian descendants. A lot of people don't have that advantage, and a lot of times, like I said, it goes back to fear. Like, you don't want your child to have any type of disadvantage growing up in the country. You want them to be able to exceed wherever they go. So it's unfortunate. It's a different way of thinking. I know Latinos generally don't have that issue because a lot of Latino children growing up, they're bilingual from the jump. Like, they teach them Spanish at home, and then they teach them English in school. So I would say a higher percentage of Latino children are raised knowing their culture and their language and everything from the jump. So I say all that to say that I feel as though we probably should lighten up a little bit on those of us who don't speak the language, who don't know the culture, because at the end of the day, you know, we were born in America, so we may not necessarily have the same amount of relation to our parent country as our parents do. So back up.
Wow. Well, tell us how you really feel. It's interesting that you mentioned the Latinas, because I actually have had a coworker who is Latina, and she didn't really teach her daughter any Spanish. So now when her daughter tries to speak Spanish, you know, she knows nothing, and she finds it funny, like when she cute, funny, but you know, she kind of feels bad that she didn't teach her anything growing up, because she doesn't really know a lot.
¿Cómo estás?
That's how I speak Spanish. El Caro.
Oh my God. El Caro.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I took altogether, like collectively, I took like about 4 years of Spanish. 2 years in high school and 2 years in college. And I don't remember crap. It's so sad. And I remember, like, when I first started taking it, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be bilingual. I'm going to learn Spanish, like, for real, and that never happened. Anyway, I personally don't have that much experience with this topic. My dad is Jamaican and my mom is American, and my dad never really spoke patois, like, to us or around us in the house. The only time we ever really heard him speaking patois was if he was on the phone with like a relative or with like an old friend. And my dad doesn't have a lot of friends, so you know that didn't really happen very often. But when I would go to my grandma's house, because she used to live down the street, so we used to go to my grandma's house all the time, and I would hear her speak it a little bit. And when my aunt would come down from New York, that's my dad's sister, she would speak it to us too. So really, I learned patois from my grandma, more from my grandma and my aunt, not really so much my dad. And even now, I can't speak it at all. I sound terrible, like really bad. He's worse though, so I don't know why he's even shaking his head.
I'm not Jamaican.
He likes to pretend he's Jamaican.
Yeah,
though.
man. Yeah, man. Wagwan.
Anyway. Yeah, so, and I tell my dad all the time, like, you deprived me of my culture, because I wish that I could speak patois. I really do, but I'm terrible at it. I can't. And my cousins can speak it really well. Did you know that?
I did.
They sound like they are native, like they were born and raised in Jamaica. And me over here, the Americanized one, me and my brother, we don't know anything. I mean, we can pick up on some words, like I can understand it a little bit, but when you start talking fast, I'm like, huh? Like what? So, but like in regards to people looking down on me, like my relatives and stuff, I've never really had that experience. Like, I don't know.
But so, I mean, you said you didn't have much to say about this topic, but I feel like it really basically describes you with more than just the language, though, because yeah, you have a disadvantage of not being able to speak the language, but there's also the history, there's also the culture, there's the mannerisms that you know certain people of a culture automatically grow up in. Like, I know for me, there's certain things that I do sometimes that are super Haitian, like hella Haitian. And I grew up in that environment. You know, I may not have grown up from birth learning or speaking the language, but there's certain things that you just can't. I was brought up in a Haitian household. You can't escape those things. I feel as though we don't want to make it just about language, but language is a huge part of your cultural pride. Like, I know the first thing I do whenever I start a new job is I look for Haitian people there. You know, do we have any Haitian? Even, you know, the next thing will be Caribbean people, because at least we have some type of commonality. But the first thing I do is I look for any Haitian people, because guess what? If I want to say something, it's certain things that are funnier in Creole. You know, and there's certain things that are funnier in the native language that it is. Like, you know, a Jamaican person trying to translate something that is funnier in patois or better sounding in patois is not going to sound the same in English. Like, you ever try to just to translate something like a colloquialism or a proverb or something, and it's like it doesn't make sense in English? Those are some of the things that I pay attention to. So really, for you all out there in the safe space, do you feel as though you judge others for not being as connected to their cultural background? Because it's really sometimes subconscious. If you feel like you're not able to connect, and if you are one of those children growing up who hasn't had the chance to connect with their cultural background, do you feel like you're missing something in your life? Or do you feel like you're all good, just being a descendant, but you don't really connect or identify with that group? Would you say that you still identify with being Jamaican?
Yeah.
And you don't feel as though you're missing anything other than obviously the language, but do you feel like you're missing anything that would really connect you to that? You still have that cultural pride.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Anywhere I go, like if I go to a Caribbean party or anything, I always bring my Jamaican flag. I always rep Jamaica because that's part of who I am. I may not be native born, and I may not have both parents from Jamaica, but I have one side of my family from Jamaica, and I've had a lot of wonderful experiences with that particular side of the family. So yes, I still rep Jamaica all day and every day.
And you know what I hate? When you're making assumptions. For me, I'm Haitian, but a lot of people think I'm Spanish. So they think I'm Dominican or Puerto Rican or whatever. I've even got Cuban before. So somebody would just come up to me and start speaking Spanish, and then I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. And then the next thing is, how do you not know your language? That's what they say afterwards. And I'm like, well, hold up. First of all, this is a saved house, so I'm not going to say what I want to say. But first of all, I'm not Hispanic. So, but it's the same thing in Creole, in Haiti. When you don't speak Creole, they ask you, ¿Por qué sabes hablar con anglais? Like, why don't you speak the language? And then you're just sitting there like that meme.
I get mistaken for Haitian a lot. Well, I used to. I don't know so much anymore, but I used to get mistaken for being Haitian a lot. I was like, no, I'm Jamaican, kind of. Not really, but kind of. I don't know what I am.
You are Jamaican American.
No, but that's what I used to say. Like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not Haitian. No.
That's a good topic for another day. The Haitian Jamaican feud that used to happen back in the day. But we got to move on to the next topic. Make sure you guys definitely comment on your experience. Do you judge others for not being connected with their culture? Have you been judged for not being as connected? Or do you feel as though, it doesn't register to you? Whatever you want to comment, just make sure you comment down below in the safe space.
Please.
Okay.
Next question.
Next question. Do you... What?
I was going to go ahead and save you, but go ahead.
I know the question.
Oh, okay, cool.
How do you feel about living together before being married? Living together before marriage. How do you feel about living together before marriage? That's the question, right?
Yes, that's the question.
Okay, more or less. If I don't say it the exact way, then somebody gets a little bothered about it, but...
Stick to the script.
Okay. How do you feel about living together before marriage?
I personally don't see a problem with it to an extent because there are studies that show that, and I don't know what they are like recently, but I know from a couple of years ago there were studies that showed that couples who live together before getting married have I think it was like a 50% chance. I don't know if it was 50. I might be wrong, but there was like a certain percentage that they would not last in a marriage or that they wouldn't even make it to marriage.
People who have not lived together, you said?
People who have lived together before marriage.
Mm-hmm.
There was a percentage. I don't remember it. I probably have to research it and look it up again. But and those numbers might have changed by now because, like I said, this was a few years ago. But there was like it was like a high percentage. I want to say it was 50% or maybe almost 50% that they would not last. That they're more likely to get a divorce than couples who haven't lived together, which I think is so weird because it's like when you live together before marriage, you're kind of getting a taste of how it's going to be when you do get married. I feel like people who get married and then live together afterwards, it's like almost like a like a shock, because it's like you've never lived with this person before, so you don't know what their mannerisms are. You don't know what if they can clean, if they can cook, if they will, or if they're willing to. Like, you know, I don't know. I don't see how that makes any sense to me. But me personally, I don't think I would have a problem with living with someone, and I don't see a problem with couples living together before marriage. I actually think that's a lot more common nowadays. So that's really all I have to say.
Okay. Well, what?
Nothing.
Okay. I disagree. I guess you saw that coming already. I disagree. I am of the opinion that unless there is an extenuating circumstance, like for example, if you guys move out the state together and it's just you two or whatever, I don't believe that you should move in with your girlfriend or boyfriend until after you get married. And there's a couple of reasons that I have. The first and probably the most shallow is I would like to move into a new spot with my wife after marriage. Like, I feel like when you get married and you come back from your honeymoon and you have a new spot waiting for you and you guys have both never been there before or haven't dwelled there, and you're opening that door, it's like you're opening a new chapter. It's like you're starting fresh, kind of like you're washing the face of the marriage. You know, if you come back from your honeymoon and y'all go into the same apartment or the same house that you guys were in before, I don't feel like there's any new beginning with that. And like I said, that's probably a shallow reason, but that is something that I think about often. The other thing for me is I don't believe that you should live with your partner, like I said, unless there's an extenuating circumstance. I don't believe that you should live with your partner before marriage, because I don't believe that you should have that that taste of married life before you guys actually make it official. I think there's certain things that you need to keep for the marriage. And yes, there are certain things that you may have different, like the way that you clean or the way that you cook or etc. But those are things that you have conversations about beforehand. I feel as though you need to communicate with your partner the things that you guys like and don't like. And you also have the opportunity to see how the person is in person, because you're always at the other person's house. You can take notes mentally. Well, this is how they like to do things. This is how they clean. You know, do you see a lot of dirt in that person's kitchen, or do you see a lot of mildew in that person's bathroom or whatever?
Ew.
Exactly. And actually, true story, actually before recording, I just told Babe that her bathroom is like immaculate, and those are things that you think about, because when you get married, the bottom line is this, because I don't want to get long-winded, but the bottom line is this: when you live together before marriage, in my opinion, it gives you an easy way out. Like, if you don't like the person's habits or whatever, then it gives you an easy way. But you know what? I don't like this, and I don't think that it's gonna work. Versus when you get married and you love each other enough to get married because you accept the person for who they are. When you get married and you live together, it allows you to work together to get through something, Like, rather than when you're writing a paper, rather than just be able to crumple the paper and throw it away and start over, you have to actually work towards a resolution. Like, do you get what I'm saying with that?
I get it.
I feel like I want to make sure you guys understand that there's no easy way outs in marriage. And I feel like when you live together before marriage, it's easy for you to be like, I'm not dealing with this for the rest of my life. Sorry. And you miss out on a good thing potentially because you quit before it's good. You'll walk out of the movie theater before the best part of the movie. But I've never been married, and I never lived with anybody. So for all I know, I could just be talking out of my butt. But that's my opinion, and
And you're sticking to it.
And I'm sticking to it. And that's the facts on that, Jack.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I personally have, I actually can't think of how many on the top of my head, but I at least know of one couple, friends that are a couple that live together, and they're getting ready to get married. And they've lived together for a couple years now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing fine. But, everybody's different. What may work for one couple may not work for the other. I just feel like as long as you set boundaries
mm-hmm.
and stuff, that you should be as long as you set boundaries and stick to those boundaries, then I feel like you should be fine. Like I said, it's, you know, modern day, and it's more common now to see couples living together. But, you know, whatever.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, what do you guys think? I forgot about y'all. Forgot y'all were there for a second.
What do you guys think? You know, do you have an input from personal experience? I'd love to hear it. She'd love to hear it. We'd love to hear it. Make sure you comment down below and let us know. Let us know. Let us in. La 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 la. That was beautiful. Anyway,
he's lying.
Number 3.
In his mind, he's probably like, she didn't stick to the right key.
No, you did a good job, babe. Why don't you accept my love?
Because you lie when your voice gets high pitched and your voice
That's
just
not true. That is not true. I don't know why you keep saying that.
Shut up. Anyway, let's go. Let's move on to the next question.
Final question of the night. And this one's a doozy. Do you want to say it or do you want me to say it?
That?
What? I can't say doozy? It's a doozy. This one is a real swashbuckler.
You sound like a 70-year-old white man. Anyway, the next question is there a limit to gender equality?
Is there a limit to gender equality?
You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so here's the thing. We're going to pull up a graphic right now. And I want you guys to look at this image. So this is a 17-year-old high school student that was elected homecoming royalty. So they didn't have homecoming king and queen as traditional. They had homecoming royalty so that everyone could feel included. And it really sparked the question in our mind, you know, is there a limit to gender acceptance? What was the real question? Is there a limit to
gender equality?
Gender equality, yeah. How do you feel?
I don't know. This subject is a little tricky for me because I still don't really know exactly where I stand regarding this situation. Well, regarding gender equality, I guess. But in this particular situation, I think it's cool that they didn't limit, I guess, homecoming to homecoming king or queen. It's just like, you know, generic, I guess. But I did see some people commenting on this saying like, oh, it's not fair. Like, what should be female activities should be left as female activities, and you know, we have to worry about like men taking our shine and all of this other stuff. And I can kind of understand where they're coming from, for sure. I can understand that if it was like a specific like homecoming king or queen, and then a guy just, you know, decided that he was going to run for homecoming queen. Like, I can understand their viewpoint if it was that aspect. But if this was just a whole generic thing and it was just homecoming royalty, not king or queen, like anybody can be crowned, then I don't see a problem with that. I think that's cool. So I don't know. I'm still a little, it's something that I would really have to think about more because I still don't exactly know where I stand. But in regards to actual gender equality, though, like women getting paid equally as men and all of that stuff, I'm for it. But I also think that there are certain things that is designed for a man, or I think should be designated to men, and certain things that should be designated to women. For instance, taking out the trash. Like, I am not a person that wants to take out the trash. I personally think that that's a man's job. Like, that's what I think. Why are you looking at me like that? Do you disagree? That's what I think. But I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I would take out the trash, but I don't know. I feel like you should do it. That's just me. But, you know, whatever.
Hmm. Well, okay, so before I say anything, I'm just going to say Jupiter because I don't need anybody coming after me for my opinion on this matter. I think when it comes to gender equality, there are certain unalienable things or attributes or actions, I should say, that are universal and can go for either gender, such as taking the trash out. I don't think that that's uniquely qualified to be a male experience. Just like I don't believe having dinner ready by 7 o'clock is a uniquely female experience. I think that anybody can take out the trash and anybody can cook in the household. That's how I personally feel. I don't disagree with equal pay. I don't disagree with women sports broadcasters. I don't disagree with male flight attendants, for example. And you don't have to be gay to be a flight attendant. I actually know quite a few male flight attendants who are not gay. And it's just like a stereotype. Like, in order for you to be a flight attendant, you have to be female, you have to be gay. Or in order for you to be a sports journalist, you got to be a male, or then the lady's not going to know what she's talking about, which I think is extremely insensitive. And it's great that we have so many female sports journalists now. With regards to this particular question of the 17-year-old high school student who was elected to homecoming royalty, I think that there's a limit. I honestly feel as though there are certain things that are embraced or that should be embraced by females. There's certain things that should be embraced by males. I think that when it comes to if you're going to say homecoming royalty, then cool. If you're going to say homecoming royalty and you have a gay student that was elected to homecoming royalty, I support it. Cool. As long as it's not homecoming queen, because I don't feel like I don't feel like a man should be homecoming queen. I think he should be homecoming king, gay or straight. I don't care. I also feel as though when it comes to transgenders participating in opposite sex things, I really don't have the energy to be politically correct about this. Look, if you have a transgendered student, for example, let's say you have a transgendered male, so was born male and is now female. So you have a transgender female, and that transgender female is participating in wrestling, for example. There are certain biological and physiological advantages that someone who was born male is going to have over someone who was born female that is going to allow them to have an advantage. I don't think that that's fair. If you have, when it comes to sports, I don't believe that there is an equal playing field. No matter who you want to identify with, that's on you. If you want to call yourself a female, if you want to call yourself a male, that's fine. That's between you and God. I have no stake in that race. However, I don't believe that there's ever going to be a time, unless it's technological advances behind it, where you're going to be able to look at a female and a transgender female and not realize that there is a physiological difference. And people say, a lot of females get offended when males transition into females and, want to celebrate certain things, because a lot of females say, well, if you go down the comments, they'll be like, well, they don't have periods, or they can't give birth, so they're not really a female. Or with men, like when females transition into men, and I'm not gonna lie, I almost always can tell when a male is transitioning into a female, but there's been a few times when a female has transitioned to a male, I had no idea. Like, I'm talking about, like, you have to actually see the before and after pictures, and it's really impressive and a little scary, because thank God we found each other. But like, if you're in a dating world, that's a subject for another day. But I wrap it up by saying that I don't believe that there should be a blanket acceptance on all things gender related. I do personally believe that there are certain things that are uniquely matched to females, and there's certain things that are uniquely matched to males. However, pay, responsibilities in the household, interest, like for example, liking certain things, are not unique to a certain gender. Females could love sports. They could love video games. They could love wrestling. They could love whatever other manly things. And males could love romantic comedies. I love romantic comedies. I wish somebody would say that I'm not a man because I like to watch, Crazy Rich Asians or Girlfriends that used to pop up back in the day. You remember the show Girlfriends? Well, anyway, I love that show, and there's a lot of things I love. I love sensitive stuff, but that doesn't make me less of a man. I think that there is a balance, and the only time that the balance gets thrown out of whack is when we deal with the issues of the LGBTQ community. So, yeah. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I was about to say, what do you guys think?
Okay. What y'all think, huh?
Let us know. What do you think about gender equality? What do you think about this particular situation with the 17-year-old student that was, I guess, crowned homecoming? Was it homecoming royalty?
Homecoming royalty.
Homecoming royalty. I am really stumbling over my words today.
It's all good.
I don't know why. Yeah, let us know. What are your thoughts?
I just feel like we get so politically correct, and we're scared of stepping on people's toes and making them feel uncomfortable, that we just allow everything in the world to be okay. And if you got to walk the line between acceptance of someone's identity and someone's reality, and at the same time, what's right and what's wrong. And you can't tell really someone else how to feel, and they can't tell you how to feel. So it's a fine line that we're walking, and even having that conversation is interesting in 2019, because 20 years ago, this would not have been a conversation. We would know better, or rather we would think that we know better. And I think that the beautiful thing about the world changing is that we are opening our eyes up to different things that maybe were hurtful in the past, but I feel like the cap is off of the soda bottle. Like, when the cap is off the soda bottle and all the carbonates fizz out and then the soda gets flat? I feel like that's what we're doing right now. We're so accepting of everything that the soda is flat now. And take that how you will. But I think that that's a good time to wrap up today's episode of the Safe Word podcast. Thank you for joining.
Yeah,
and participating.
You for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Also, let us know what you think on these topics. I know we kind of went deep for a little bit, so let's hear what you think. We really want to hear what you guys think. So until next time, peace.